Hi, and welcome to our next discussion on the foundations of yoga. Today's video will be pretty quick, and it is all about Sukhasana, or easy pose. Now you might be thinking, why am I watching a tutorial on how to sit down? And the importance of this posture lies really in the attention that we give our bodies as we're in the pose and focusing on the alignment. The real challenge of Sukhasana is finding ease within this pose and discovering stillness and maintaining that stillness as we come to a seat. So when you are in your Sukhasana, it's important to take your time and find what works best for you. The benefits of easy pose are that as you find yourself in this seated position, your anxiety and stress will start to melt away. You'll become more grounded. This is a posture, one of the more basic postures that you'll use to set yourself up for pranayama or breathing practices. Also, as you find your stillness in Sukhasana, you'll find that your concentration improves over time, and your benefits, if you do practice meditation, you'll get better and better at it. Physically, sitting in Sukhasana, the physical benefits are stretching and opening up the ankles, and you'll probably feel it in your hips by opening up your hips, and a lot of people feel it in their knees. You'll feel a good stretch along the knees as well. So let's talk about alignment, and we'll start from the ground up. In Sukhasana, you'll come to a seat on your mat. And if you are seated directly on your mat, your sit bones should be what you feel contact with on the mat, and your weight should be distributed evenly. So we shouldn't be leaning to one side more than the other. Your sit bones are those little protruding points that you feel at the base of your tailbone. You can feel yourself kind of rock back and forth on them. When you do come to a seat, maybe if you just shift yourself a little bit back and forth before you come to a nice balance, then you can find out where that weight distribution is more comfortable for you. Your goal is to feel grounded. So if you are seated in Sukhasana and you feel like you're struggling to stay comfortable, if you're rounding, if your hip flexors are tight and you feel that your lower back start to round, and you can't maintain a nice upright posture in Sukhasana, you may want to grab a block or even a nice blanket, not one that's too fluffy. You want to have something that has a little bit more stability. Either one you can take and use that to sit a little bit higher. And from here you can let your hips and your knees just drop down, and that decreases the angle that you have, especially within the hips and the knees, and you get a little bit more comfortable. You can sit a lot straighter from the crown of the head all the way down along the spine, nice and straight. Now, how do you cross your legs when you're in easy sit or Sukhasana? I prefer to have one shin in front of the other. That's always been more comfortable for me versus having my ankles tucked underneath my legs. But you may find that you prefer to have your ankles tucked underneath your shins, and that's totally fine. Work with you, try to sit with it for a couple of minutes and find what works best for your body. Now, you do want a little bit of space between your pubic bone and your legs. So just increase that angle of the knees and allow your legs to come out a little bit further so that you have a wider base. If your ankles are a little sensitive, mine can be sometimes, you may want to have a padded blanket underneath the ankles to give yourself a little bit more cushion. And then as far as the cross of the legs, if you are in easy sit for a longer period of time, switch that cross. That way your hips get a little bit more evenly worked as you're sitting in this position. Turning sideways again for you to get a little bit better view, we're going to talk about the pelvis. Now, as you naturally sit in your Sukhasana, is your pelvis tucked and your lower back rounding? Do you have a tendency to just kind of droop in the abdomen and droop in the back? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe your belly is sinking forward and just falling in, and you have more of a sway back going on. You want to be as upright as possible. So just a slight tuck in the tailbone and the navel drawn in. Nice, tall, straight spine. Again, if you need a block to sit on, that's where we need to grab one. Now, with the chest and the torso in your easy seated position, your shoulders should be directly above the hips. As you sit here, you should lengthen. Think about lengthening through the sides as you take deep breaths. Widen through the collarbone, spread the shoulder blades down and across the back. Now looking at the arms and the hands. The hands are generally just resting on the knees. They can be palms down. They can be palms up if you're feeling very open for the day. But the arms are relaxed and generally slightly bent. Now we come to the head. Sitting tall with the crown of the head reaching for the ceiling. Chin should be just slightly tucked. Neck is long. And the gaze is either in front of you. You can have the eyes closed, or you can have just a resting gaze where you're looking just beyond the nose, maybe 1 or 2 feet in front of you.